The time that she did play, she beat me when she was 16 at the U.S. Open. And I remember thinking, wow, this girl hits harder than I do. She moves better than I do. She is hungrier than I am. And how the heck am I going to ever beat her?
I think what made me so tough to play was my mental toughness. The ability to go out there and play point to point, to maybe compete harder and be more focused than my opponents, not give away the free points.
In Tracy's short career, she managed to end up with a winning record over Everett and met up with Navratilova 16 times in finals, winning nearly half of them.
I knew that I was a little bit stronger, and that's one of the reasons why I was able to beat her 2 times at the U.S. Open, the semis when I won in 79, and the finals, 7-6 in the third when I won here in 81.
She was just coming into her prime. I mean, she was improving on a daily basis, and she was getting better and more confident, so it was just a matter of time before it would shift over.
I thought she would go on for the next 10 years and, maybe be number 1, number 2 in the world. And she would have been in Martinez in my little triangle.
The one thing looking back that obviously was hugely disappointing was not being able to play as long. And I finished playing when I was 21.
I feel really bad. I feel like she could have been one of the greatest players of all time if she hadn't been injured. But, maybe that's made her who she is today, a wonderful person.
And look who joins us, our friend, our family, our Hall of Famer, Tracy Austin on Tennis Channel Live. Tracy, how are you doing? How's the Austin household been holding up this past week?
Well, we're eating a lot, but we're trying to counter that with going to the gym downstairs and exercising a lot. It's definitely been, a little trying times, not being able to get out and play tennis like we love to, but we all understand. And I got to tell you, it's great to have you guys on 3 hours a day to watch. I love watching you guys. You're doing an excellent job.
Thanks so much. You'll be joining us next week for our shows, so looking forward to that as well. Tracy, you talked in that piece about your mental toughness, how that was your biggest strength. Where did that come from for you?
I think just competing a lot as a kid. I think maybe some of that was something that I was born with. Now, I counter that with the fact that physically, I'm 5'5". Martina obviously was much, much stronger. And so that's where my asset was. That's what always was so interesting about playing Chris, because I felt like I was playing someone that was a mirror image. She was consistent and precise. And Martina was so much physically stronger, actually, than both of us. So it made it quite interesting. But the mental toughness was important to me because I didn't have that one huge weapon like the serve to finish points with. So I had to be really mentally tough on those big points and be able to think clearer and make adjustments mid-match better than my opponent.
Okay, Tracy, when I was growing up, I always heard about you from Robert Lansdorf, who had coached you earlier. You were always my idol. I was curious, who was your idol when you were growing up?
Liz, you're going to make me cry. Actually, I loved Yvonne Goolagong because of her style of play. Her style was so fluid and so athletic. She always seemed to enjoy playing, seemed to play with a smile, which was always incredible to me. I got her autograph. I was a ball girl for her. She was just a lovely lady, and I feel fortunate enough to have gone on and played with her, and that's exactly the way that she was. She just seemed to think of tennis as a game and was challenged by, her opponent and the different tactics that they would bring, and she had so much variety in her game. She was a beautiful, beautiful, elegant player to watch.
Tracy, I just wanted to ask you, you mentioned the mental part of it, and as a coach, I'm always wondering, we talk and we see the aesthetics. You talk about Yvonne Goolagong-Cawley, how beautiful her game was, but the mental part of it that you talk about, do you feel now like that's something that you really teach at a younger age? And if so, how do you do that?
Well, I think that you saw it on your show yesterday or maybe it was after your show with Roger, and how he used to get so upset at himself as a youngster. And then one coach was able to remind him and get across the point to him that, first of all, the negativity is going to allow your opponent to feel confident. And number two, if you're getting so negative with throwing your racket and swearing, how can you possibly be thinking clearly? So it's all what's happening in between the points and trying to self-coach and to stay positive. Luckily, I kind of always had that ability. I'm challenged by tennis. I think we all still love tennis, and that's why we're still involved in the commentary. You know, there's so many things that you have to manage on the court, whether it's changing conditions, changing tactics of an opponent, changing game styles of a different person that you play every single day. All of that, to me, is what's fascinating and exciting. And the quicker that you can realize what's going on in a match, how things are changing, and you can make those adjustments, the better off you're going to be.
All right, tell us about Brandon. How's Brandon in that category? Come on, be honest. No one's watching, really. Just us. We're just sitting around talking.
Yeah. No, actually, Brandon is extremely calm. And as you know, Paul and Lindsay, there's that fine line where you want to be fiery enough and have that emotion where you're engaged in the match, but you need to stay calm at the same time. If you deviate too much from either one of those, you're not finding that kind of clear line. So I will say my son, Brandon, I'm very proud. He's a really good sportsman. He stays even keeled. He's very smart on the court. And that's one reason why I love watching him play, is because he uses all of his assets and is constantly trying to poke and prod and try to figure out, his opponent's weaknesses. And it's fun to kind of see him play a match, and you can see his wheels spinning.
Brandon, of course, Brandon Holt, who one of the top college players in the country, a senior at USC, and the Trojans, when the season was canceled, ranked #1 in the nation. Tracy, it is always great to see your face, and look forward to seeing you next week every single day.
Great job, guys. Love ya.